He utilized you as a slave.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you remember if he gave you or they gave you cortexiphan?
They injected me with all sorts of things. They didn't tell me what it was.
Okay, so cortexiphan is a drug that enhances your psychic abilities.
Okay.
It can also make you go crazy if they give you too much of it.
Well, I didn't go crazy, but so I guess they used the right dosage.
Also, John, what can you tell us about Monarch Solutions and the Revolutionary War? Do you know anything?
Which revolution? The American Revolutionary War?
So they've been around for 10,000 years. They went back in time. So how did they help support George Washington's Continental Army win the war? Do you have any intel on that one?
I've never heard of that. I would be very interested to hear that. That's fascinating. I never heard about that.
Okay.
What I can tell you what they're into is they create their specialty. They have two specialties. One of them is biotechnology, nanites and things like that. And their other specialty is in the creation of sex slaves. Project Monarch was named after this company, trying to emulate it, trying to make the perfect slave in the way that Monarch Solutions, the company, had. That's why it's called Project Monarch.
So the name Monarch originated in the 1940s, but because they went back in time, it became a lot more. Okay, interesting. Oh, wow. Okay, John, anything else you want to say about Monarch?
Not particularly. Of the companies on this list, they're the ones I've thankfully had the least recall of so far.
Do you know any information where they're located, the actual facility for Monarch?
There's one in Toronto. There's one on Centurion, and I believe there's one on Mars. I'm sure there are plenty of others, and Centurion, by the way, for people who don't know, is in Alpha Centauri. So it's pretty close by. It's just the next star system over.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I think we've said enough about Monarch. John, before we actually move on, I was hoping you could tell us, because I forgot to ask you the question, what was your connection to Gabriel Kruger? How come you were at his funeral? How come you knew him so closely, or that family?
Family connections. My altar's father is a man by the name of Emmerman. I'll be talking about him a lot in my book. But he is, he fancies himself a kingmaker.
Repeat that again. What kind of maker?
Kingmaker. He has a lot of children who he distributed throughout space and time. I know many of them personally. They're in the SSP community. No, I will not name names. But he was probably until his death last year, I keep saying is accidentally about people who have died. I'm sorry about that. He was probably the highest ranking person in Nachtwaffen, and he would forge connections with ICC families. And so my altar, growing up and during his service, had a lot of connections with these people. And so he would always be at funerals, weddings, whatever. And he knew these people personally on a deep level. That's how that came to be.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Amazing. So how come you think you're allowed to have more recall than some of I would say maybe even all of our listening audiences, probably if it wasn't the secret space program, and I would say maybe a few of you out there know it, but the rest of you are questioning. So, John, how come you were able to get all these recalls and so many of us are struggling? What do you think it is?
Part of it I know is down to blood type. The AB negative blood type, for whatever reason, are the hardest to wipe. Otherwise, I don't know. I've never been offered an explanation. It's just always been that way for me.
All right. Well, let's go on here. So we have another one. Let's see here. We have, you want to do Arasaka?
Arasaka, yeah.
Okay.
They're a Japanese family, also from the 40s. In the years leading up to and during the war, Japan was researching cyborgs. It didn't really get off the ground until 1942 when they invaded Manila, and they found underneath Manila an ancient ET facility, which included a cyborg manufacturing lab. They reverse engineered it, and by the end of the war, they were in full swing producing cyborgs, but they couldn't produce them in big enough numbers to turn the tide of the war. And so, when the Germans left Earth after the war, after being defeated, they made offers with the Japanese, come off world with us and make these cyborgs for us and for yourselves, and you get a seat at the table. And they accepted. When it was under the control of the military of the Empire of Japan, during the war and a few years before that, it was under the control of a general by the name of Takeshi Arasaka, who has been wiped from history completely. I have tried to find him. I cannot find him anywhere in any records. Who knows, maybe he's from an alternate reality. I don't know. But he died he moved the family to Mars in 45, and he died in 1946, and the control of this research went to his son, Shinji Arasaka. Shinji Arasaka Sr. There is a Shinji Arasaka Jr. And he took over it, and he made a rather controversial move by privatizing this research and this cyborg manufacturing industry in 1947 and moving the family to Vega Prime off of Mars, because by that point Mars was in full-scale civil war and there wasn't a place to be, especially if you were trying to run a company and all of that. And he married, this is, by the way, the family and company that I have the most experience with. So we could possibly someday even do an entire show just about them. But Shinji Sr. married a woman from one of these other Japanese families that had left Earth, by the name of Toshiko Takayama. I'll be right back. Just give me 1 minute.
That's fine. So go ahead and do what you need to do. So what I'm going to do is share my screen here. So I finally found out. I was searching for this link here. Oh my gosh. Why is it not showing up here? Okay. Oh my, I just had it. Let's see if this will work again. Okay. That's not what I wanted to show you. Sorry. Hold on, everybody. Just hold your horses. So I'll make this bigger. So this is ACO official website with Peter the Insider and the ACO records. So Arasaka Corporation. Just had it. Here we go. Arasaka is a Japanese mega corporation, a future timeline of activities involved in security, banking, military technology, paramilitary contracting, and many other industry sectors. Arasaka was first disclosed in the video game Cyberpunk 2077, released in 2020. And Peter the Insider said that Jackie Guy character was based on me, and I had Raw Cloud. We were discussing this, that he had a download where that neurocore technology being promoted by Elon Musk, if that technology starts being pushed out, we will have like a situation where we have the haves and have-nots, where cyborg gangs are kind of fight with each other, as featured in Cyberpunk 2077. Sorry. By the year 2077, Arasaka. So I think this is like an alternate timeline, perhaps, or a timeline that we kind of go to if we like embrace this cybernation kind of thing. So, but we can probably choose to not embrace it. Hold on, let me check to see if John is there. Nope, he's not here yet. Okay. All right, so let's go back here. All right, so Arasaka establishes themselves as one of the largest, most influential corporations in the world after a series of international corporate wars. The organization was initially founded in 1915 by Sasai Arasaka with humble beginnings in manufacturing. However, it wasn't until 1960, when Saburo Arasaka assumed leadership over the organization, that it really began to make major strides in its growth and power, thanks to the addition of the new Arasaka Security Division. Over the years, Arasaka Security would evolve to have the most sought-after security and paramilitary personnel. The highest-profile celebrities, politicians, and corporations would oftentimes contract with Arasaka Security to protect certain assets. In some cases, even entire nations would contract with Arasaki for private military support. The organization is also known for producing some of the highest-end weapon technology, computers, and security equipment. One of the key initiatives that Arasaka is involved in is the development of interdimensional highway infrastructure via the Universal Portal System. Here, Arasaka seeks to create universal access points to different time periods, realities, and dimensions from which they can streamline multi-dimensional interventions and more easily influence realities. This has been reported to be done via a combination of advanced nano and femto technology. Again, the femto is even smaller than nano. Guys, I couldn't even tell you how much smaller. It's like, oh my gosh, 1 to the billionth, where nano is like 1 to the thousandth or something like that. Okay. And brain chips implanted into specific operatives to easily open an interdimensional or a dimensional portal at will. The ACIO, or the Advanced Contact Intelligence Organization, also reports that the emergence of the Bitcoin phenomenon through creator Satoshi Nakamoto was largely the result of Arasaka's intervention into our timeline. So, of course, we had Kusal Uch has come on here and he's talked about Bitcoin, and essentially there was a AI. Basically, there was a timeline where we had nuclear war, and that particular timeline going into the future, 1,000 years, an AI developed which was assisting humanity, what was left of it anyway. But it decided to go back in time because it realized for the AI to have the most efficient system, it needs all the parts of the whole to be efficient. So if humanity loses 99% of its population, then it also loses its own assets. So it decided to go back in time and send the Bitcoin back in time as an alternative to counter the Federal Reserve System, and also help usher in this age where we don't have to go through nuclear war, but we guess they want us to embrace the cybernetics. John, welcome back.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm okay. I've read that history there is contrary to what I remember.
Okay.
Completely, but that's,
Because I know ACO Agency also says Richard Bay is Tom Cruise, so sometimes maybe there's like a whole parallel reality kind of thing where what you remember is real, but this is real too. Because I mean, this happened in our future, right? So our future really hasn't happened yet, but
yeah.
Maybe.
My history of Arasaka Corporation or Arasaka Robotics is different, but that's what I remember. But who knows really? I do fully believe that there are parallel realities, and maybe we're both right. But going back to it, they had 12 children. Shinji Arasaka and Toshiko Takayama, now Arasaka. And a number of them had, both of them and a number of their children also had clones that were celebrities. We can go into that in a minute. Their children, let me pull up my notes here so I get them in the right order. Yoshi Arasaka, first son. Sakura Saimashi ni Arasaka, first daughter. Michiko Seng ni Arasaka, the second twin sister of Akira, and Michiko, by the way, was disowned. Akira Arasaka, Michiko's twin brother, he was not disowned. Shinji Arasaka Jr., Akane Raimura ni Arasaka, the third daughter. Miwako Fujikawa ni Arasaka, and Harune Arasaka, the fourth son. Chiyo Masamune ni Arasaka, daughter. Hanako Arasaka, the sixth daughter who was never married. Himiko Algorov, seventh daughter, who was never married, and Inosuke Arasaka, their fifth son. Those are their 12 children, and I knew all of them personally, or my alters knew all of them personally to some extent. Harune Arasaka in particular was at Montauk. He was disowned by his parents for being gay, and he was a child at the time when they did it, so I guess they must have used a chronovisor or something and known that he would be in the future, and disowned him at the time, disowned him for it. And when he wound up at Montauk, he wound up being raised by my alter. And that'll be in the book in great detail, his story. And it'll probably be the saddest story that is going to be in that book, which is saying quite a lot. And, but the rest of them, yeah.
So today is his birthday? Or that was 5 days ago?
Yeah, Monday was his birthday. Yeah. He was an exact Pisces Aquarius cusp. He was born at midnight on the 19th going into the 20th, so he was an exact cusp.
Oh, wow.
Astrologically, which you could kind of tell if you knew what he was like as a person.
What was his clone doing here in our reality?
Like I said, his family disowned him and sent him to Montauk to punish him for his crimes. You know.
Oh, wow. And some of Nancy's